In this episode, we find out why I think Death Guard is better than people think they are. Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Dice Club, where we're going to take a deep dive into looking at the Death Guard and whether or not they are being played ninth edition rather than 10th edition. But before we do that, let me tell you some exciting stuff that's happening on the channel. Number one is we are YouTube is offering memberships, and so I'm going to start a membership with three different tiers. First tier is just those that want to support me. It's $1. I appreciate everybody. So look, I appreciate all the love and support that I've been getting, all the likes and comments about my channel and about the content I've been putting out, and I really do appreciate that. Being a member will allow me to, in some cases, give back a little bit. It also supports the channel, helps me bring better content and bring more models, different models to the table, that we can see what's going on here. First tier, like I said, was just $1. $1 a month helps goes a long way when there's multiple people. $5 memberships is the next tier up. In that $5 membership, you see these billboards ahead of me, in front of me. With that $5 membership, I will draw a $5 member out of a hat. I'll do it on an episode of Dice Club, and that member will be able to get a customized billboard for their table as well. But they'll also be featured on my channel for the entire month. So, for example, Nelson and Murdoch, if you're an RMCP player and you are part of the law firm Nelson and Murdoch, you'll be on my channel for 2 battle reports per week, which is going to be Warhammer 40K and an MCP bat rep. And at the end of that month, I will then send you this piece of terrain for your house, for your table as well. You can put anything on you want, as long as it's PG rated, and your dog, your army, your logo, your name, whatever you choose to do, we'll put it on. We'll put it on one of those billboards for you, and then send it to you after it's all done. But you will be featured on the channel. $10 members, for those who are gracious enough and can do that, I appreciate that as well. I appreciate, like I said, everybody who's been supporting the channel. The $10 members will get an opportunity. I'll pull them out as well, win prizes, which is going to be, as you can see, I have merch on. I don't know if you can see it because of the mic, but I do have a Monster Dice shirt on. We do have shirts. We also have this shirt here, which is, if you watch my channel before, you hear me say we play for fun, not for money. And that's what that shirt says. We play for fun across the top with the Monster Dice logo on it. We also have hats too that will be that we'll be able to get to you as well. It'll be either a hat, a shirt. It could be a core box set. Like in October, MCP's putting out a core box set on the 13th. I believe that's the release date. If I can get my hands on them, that's another prize. We might pull up maybe some patrol boxes, models, whatever it might be. I just want to give back to you guys for supporting me in the way I can. It's not feasible at the moment that I can do pay members only content right now. I might be able to maybe do something every month or something. I'm still working on that. It is in the works. Can't promise that right off the top. So that's the first exciting news. The second exciting news is, if you do like the content, the merch, and you do want it, the store and the website will be going up probably in mid-September. You'll be able to go to the website, click on that, buy whatever you want. See some of the videos that are on there. They'll still be on YouTube, but the videos that are in the website as well. Also, I had started a Facebook page. The links in the description below. Facebook, Instagram. Basically, what you could do there is, if you want to dive deeper into some content as far as units or whatever, and you have questions on it, and you just want to have a conversation about it, message me there on Instagram, on Facebook. We can talk about it in one of these episodes. Both links are going to be in the description. Hit it. Share your hobby progress. Share your paint. Share what you like about it. This is a positive community. I'm not trying to talk. I don't want to hear complaining. I don't want any of that stuff. No one wants to hear it. We just want to build up. We just want to build each other up and build up the hobby. So those are the couple exciting things that we have coming on So now let's get into what everybody came here for, and that's to find out why I think Death Guard is better than everybody says it is. There are some things that Death Guard don't do well, right? There are some things that Death Guard do well. So I know you guys are laughing because I said do, but so let's talk about what they do well, right? We know that Death Guard is very durable, right? We know that Terminator's at toughness 6, Plague Marines at toughness 5, the Demon Engines are toughness 9, toughness 10 with 10 wounds. They're pretty durable. The Demon Prince is actually pretty solid at a toughness 11, which is pretty good at 175 points. Though it's pretty expensive. Mortarion being a toughness 12, so they do have some durability to them. And not only that, I like the mechanic. I like the mechanic of Nurgle's Blessing, contagions, spread the sickness on contagions, on objectives, which allow you to walk off the objectives. Because we know, as Death Guard players, that being slow and trying to move up the board is hard to do and hold objectives, especially when we don't have a lot of where they. I think GW had categorized this as elite army, and I think they might be off just a little bit on that, just a little bit, right? So moving slow, it's hazardous to us. But like I said, I don't want to go off on a rant. Nurgle's gift, making the objective markers contagion. I like that mechanic a lot. I also like the fact that Death Guard are +1 toughness to everything else in the game, opposed to their equal units. Terminators being toughness 5 everywhere else, unless of course your custodes, and Death Guard being toughness 6. I do like these options. I think those are some very good pros to what Death Guard bring to the table. What I think the cons are there, and there are two cons. One of them sticks out more to me than I think the other one does. And the first one I think sticks out the most. And you Death Guard players, leave the comments below if you agree or disagree with me. I think that as far as offensive output in the shooting phase is where Death Guard struggles the most. I don't think the speed is necessarily the handicap of what the Army doesn't do well. I think that because of the +1 toughness and the contagion or spread the sickness, the slowness has to be there to make them to kind of keep them a little bit in check. Or you're going to just be able, if you move up the board quickly and you got all this toughness, we're just going to run through it. We're just going to run through armies, and no one wants that. I mean, it'd be great as Death Guard players, but no one wants to be that faction. But it's the offensive output, in my opinion, the shooting phase, what really hurts Death Guard. There's not a lot of units that can put out enough damage and keep the points balanced in the index so far. That may change when we get to Codex. Again, we're just talking about the index cards at the moment. Before everybody goes crazy, look, Plague Burst Crawlers with Mortarion Battery. We're going to get into that in a minute, but let's finish the cons first before everybody starts typing right now saying Plague Burst Crawlers are good, mortars are good. We know that. But the other thing is movement, where everybody wants to criticize the movement phase and say that Death Guard are slow. There are units that we have that do move 10 inches. I mean, you could bring drones at 115 points. You could bring blade haulers at 115 points, and these move 10 inches, and they're really durable. So it allows us to get up the field a little bit quicker than necessary, or a little bit quicker than everybody thinks they do. And the other question is, do we really want to get up the field as fast as everybody wants us to, right? If you're super aggressive with your movement and you are aggressive person play style, I think that Death Guard may not be the faction for you, because Death Guard, although can play aggressively, can't play the long Dawn of War deployment or the Hammer and Anvil style deployment zone where they can't get up that deployment zone without being exposed really heavily, right? So there are other options. You got Rhinos. You can put your Plague Marines or your Terminators in Rhinos, or I know Redeemers are, I'm sorry, Redemptors are, I'm sorry, not Redemptors, Land Raiders are a little bit right now, a little expensive for Death Guard. So putting them in Land Raiders, I think is not a good option at the moment, but Rhinos are a good option. The other thing we can utilize very heavily is teleportation because Terminators are actually good. Death Guard Terminators are really good in this edition. We can also use strategic reserves to drop down behind, if we need to get engaged on all fronts or behind enemy lines or teleport homers or whatever secondaries need us to move up the board faster than what we actually do. And I don't think that's utilized enough, especially when we don't have a lot of units on the board and trying to score units that just basically are objectives that just stay in front of us. So those are my cons. Number one, I think the biggest con is no shooting. I don't think they shoot well enough for the elite army that I think the GW wants us to be. Not knocking GW, I'm just saying I just don't think that they're elite yet, at least in the index cards. The other thing is movement. The movement phase isn't as bad when you utilize the units I mentioned to move around the board and keep things in front of you and able to get secondaries. So now we're going to jump to some, and I do talk fast, guys, and stay with me here. We are going to jump to some combos. I think that there are combos that are pretty good in the Death Guard Codex. So I'll say Mortarion, like everybody knows, Mortarion with his Lord of Death Guard bubble and Plague Burst Crawlers, indirect fire, D6 plus 3, not taking any penalty for the indirect fire. It's super good. It's the only shooting, in my opinion, that is effective in the Death Guard Index at the moment. I know you can put guns on the Plague Marines. I'm sorry, on the Plague Drones. I don't, 6 shots at strength 7 -1. I think it is at 2 damage or 1 damage. It's okay, but you really got to heavy up on those drones to make it worth something. Blade haulers with the meltas, the crack grenades or the grenades and the plague spewers or spewers are, they're okay. They're hit and miss. But so the shooting bolters and some flamers, if you want to equip with one flamer in there, it's just tough. The shooting phase is just really tough. So going back to the battery of Mortarion, the Plague Burst Crawlers, lowering the entropy cannons from 36 to 24 inches. I think they were trying to make it so they weren't that good, but they being now within 20, having to move them up a little bit just to get them within 24, it exposes them a little bit. I know their strength, they have a 2-up saving, and everything now gets cover, and I like that. At 175, let's talk about why they might be a little bit overcosted. At 175, bring in Mortarion and 3 Plague Burst Crawlers because it seems like the sweet spot might be 3. 2's not enough. 3 might be the sweet spot. We're at 885, something like that. 885 points in our 2,000 point list, which takes up a lot of points for 4 models right now. 4 models that Mortarion at 370 is still pretty good. If you're a Death Guard player, just because Mortarion lost all his stuff in 9th edition, don't put him on the shelf because his aura that gives him the ability to just ignore all modifiers except for save modifiers is really, really good. And the fact that he can put people in cover within 6 inches as one of the plague host, that's actually pretty good as well. So yeah, we all know Blight Lord Terminators, super good. Blight Lord Terminators protecting either Typhus or Lord of Virulence. So again, going back to that Mortarion, Plague Burst Crawler, Lord of Variance combo, if the Variance can see him, Variance can see him. It's +1 to hit on the +1 to hit on blast weapons. Also ignores cover, which is pretty nice. And Mortarion allowing them not to be affected at all by any of the modifiers, which is also really nice. It's a great combination. It can kill off a lot of troops. It can kill off a lot of battle line units that will prevent your opponent from scoring, and they are very durable at a +2 save. Um, Plus, you can hit them with Cloud of Flies, which makes them -1 to hit stealth. So they are pretty durable. You can also take Typhus, who does so. Typhus within 18 inches does kick out a lot of mortal wounds. At 115 points, um, he hasn't done well for me in my games, but I do see his value if he's behind some Terminators, like a wall of a 10-man block of Blade Lords or a 6-man block of Death Shroud Terminators, which I think are really good. Also, you have that Terminator Sorcerer lets Death Shroud re-roll the hit rolls in melee. He's another good character to throw in. So you have a couple good characters as far as that goes. The Demon Prince at 175, we talked about 175, in my opinion, is good because of the 6-up funeral pain that he gives as well. So you go, if you put him to infantry, so if you put him at with Terminators, you have 2-up save, 4-up invuln, 6-up funeral pains. That's nice, but it's a little expensive to do that at 175 points. Now, I know other Demon Princes for other Chaos factions are at I think 200, maybe something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Put it in the comments below if I'm wrong. But yeah, so those are a couple combos that just want to touch on. I think, like I was saying in the intro of this, they're not as bad as everybody thinks they are. I think we just are so used to playing a 10th edition game. I'm sorry, 9th edition game where we can just go up and just kill everything. Where we're not used to playing this 10th edition style of play the mission over killing things. Now, again, I know people will say if you kill things, your opponent can't store it, and that's true. But you're also exposing your units. To try to kill things, you're exposing units. Try to get them in position to get into a charge range or get into to get into a more favorable position to do more damage. So with 10th edition, okay, let's talk a little bit about the way the boards are set up. With 10th edition, we have a lot more terrain that's supposed to be on the table according to GW's rulebook, right? Every cover is so big now, everything covers all over the field, all over the board, right? So getting your Terminators, your 2-up save Terminators on a 4-up invuln, and sticking them in cover, that actually helps when all the AP in the game has been lowered a little bit, right? So try not to. So a couple different play styles you can do is my play style is I'm a counter punch guy, so I'm gonna kind of only play half the board on you. I'm gonna try to hold 3 objectives as much as possible, as much as the mission will allow. The other 2 objectives in the other end of the table, I don't care about. Again, my play style. This is just the way I play Death Guard. It's not the way you may play Death Guard. It's just the way I play it. So and you guys have watched my battle report. You see how I do this. You see how I work this on the field. Doesn't always work. Sometimes I get outgunned, but this is how I play it. This is how I believe Death Guard should play. Secure half the board as the game gets close. As the game starts going on in your 3rd and 4th and 5th turn, is you start to move. You start to move up the board and slowly, just like a miasmic plague, slowly move up the board and just kind of take over the board presence, right? Just slowly take over board presence. And in order to do that, you got to still be on the board. So that's kind of the way that I think Death Guard should play. If you're not playing that way and you're having success playing other ways, let me know. We know that the gentleman, I think his name is Aiden Smalley, won a GT with some Plague Marine lists, and we'll get into some other. We'll take a deeper dive into different units as we go through it. As we start to go and more of the Dice Club stuff. Um, yeah, but I think Blade Haulers at 115, 115 points, 10-inch movement can help some of our movement. The shooting, like I said, isn't that good. Drones, another good unit that can help us with movement. Strategic reserves and teleportation strike, deep strike, essentially, and some rhinos will help with the movement part of what we struggle with. Um, there are some characters I think that we can touch on for Plague Marines, but I want to do that in another video, so I don't want to really talk about that in this video. I was um, just basically kind of like play style for Death Guard. I think some people are playing Death Guard wrong. Uh, let's look at some strats though. So Disgusting and Resilient is actually a nice strat. It's 2 points, or it's 2 CP per using that. -1 damage did hurt when they didn't bring that along in 10th edition, but -1 damage in the melee phase. It's pretty good. I mean, we'll take that. 2 CP, I think, in a game where CP are sparse. I don't know if that's really worth it unless you're late in game and you have the extra 2 CP to spare, or you're building to that and trying to get a charge off or something. Gifts of Decay for 1 CP, I think, is tremendous, especially when you're around an objective and you can just straight up heal 3 wounds on something. Especially when you're a tough unit. When you're a tough unit, if you're a Plague Burst Crawler or you're Mortarion, and someone just put a bunch of shots in you and finally get some stuff through, then you just come and D3 heal, or straight heal if you're on objective. That's pretty nice. Fabric Blight is something I don't use too often because I use my CP on other stuff like Cloud of Flies, which I like a lot, or Smokescreen if on. I know, guys, I played that wrong on some of my battle reps, but Smokescreen on the units I can take it. Boil Blight I really don't use very often. Yeah, Boil Blights I don't use. Sanguineous Flux I don't use a lot. Not saying that that's bad, actually. Sustain Hits 2 is not bad. It's actually pretty good. I just don't use it a lot because, again, our shooting struggles. Maybe that would help. Maybe I should start using it a little bit, but I don't. So then we'll look at some enhancements. Living Plague. I haven't really found something, and you guys tell me if you guys have used it. Living Plague I haven't found a real use for. I can't put it on a name character. So yeah, it's one that it's okay for me. Deadly Pathogen, again, something I don't. I use a lot actually. Deadly Pathogen I use a lot. I put it on my Demon Prince, or if I'm running a Lord Contagion, I put it on him, or sometimes the Lord variants because of there's a lot of armies out there that just want to get into your face, which Death Guard want to happen in turn 1. I'm okay with that. The droning, don't really use that either. And then Shamble Rot actually -2 to the charge is actually pretty helpful, especially when you're playing stuff like World Eaters or an aggressive Space Marine list, or an aggressive Chaos Space Marine list for that matter. But yeah, so those are the enhancements that I use a lot. Is more so Shamble Rot and Deadly Pathogen. We already talked about Spread the Sickness, but I want to go back on that. Spread the Sickness, being able to hold a couple objectives when not, and being able to walk off them is pretty nice. Especially if someone else gets into that contagion range. So that actually has Nurgle's Blessing on it as well. So you go by your turn 3, which is when you're starting to come off of these objectives and start moving up the board, your containment range is within 9 inches of that objective marker, right? So while it's in 9 inches at objective marker, if people are trying to get in or deep strike close to that, they also become -1 toughness, and that helps you take them off the board a little bit easier with the lack of shooting that I think we have. There's that. So I think Nurgle's Blessing. I like the concept of that. I really do like it. Now, how would I fix Death Guard? Here's how I'd fix it. GW, if you're listening to this, here's how I'd fix Death Guard. Lower the points. Plague Burst Crawlers at 175, a little too expensive. If you make them 160, 150, let me bring in an extra, let me take that 75 points and bring in an extra unit of Plague Marines, or because no, not everybody's getting 2,000, but let me do something with that extra 25 points that I have in freeing up those Plague Marine. I think Plague Burst Crawlers are a little too expensive. I know Blast. I know that they indirect. I know all that, right? I get it. And people who don't play Death Guard, they hate that stuff, right? But that's the only thing that they do. That's one of the strongest things that they do well. Death Shroud Terminators and Blightlar Terminators, lower them 5 points each. So a unit of 10, I'm saving 50 points on. You know what I mean? I just think that if you lower the points, you let Death Guard bring an extra unit or two, then we are back in the game. Like, we all of a sudden start winning. Because if you're a Death Guard player, you can't tell me, well, maybe you can, but you always feel like you're just short, right? You're just about to break the game open, and you just fall short just by one unit of Plague Marines dying, or one unit of Potswalkers getting wiped off the board, or one character not staying alive, or just one little thing. Maybe one drone gets killed when he's about to score you 10 points or something. It's just one little thing. We're just right at that cusp of at least putting up some big numbers in the game, or even possibly winning the game, but just one unit short from actually blowing something open, or at least staying in the game and being competitive. It seems like in rounds 4 and 5, we're just one unit short. And I think lowering everybody by lowering points, giving us a little bit better point value on our units, will just give us one extra unit in there that will help us stay in the game by time of 4th and 5th round comes around. More so in 5th round, because it's 5th round. If you notice, there are battle reports, and I'm sure games that you Death Guard players play, where you're doing well, and all of a sudden in round 5, your opponent just scores 20 points on you, and you lose the game. But the fix would be give us an extra unit, something like that. I don't necessarily know if reducing damage, and nobody wants to reduce damage again, and everybody misses it, and everybody's going to, kind of salty about that. When you can't kill things in the shooting phase, then it doesn't matter how much damage you get reduced, because if you can't take guns off the table, those guns are eventually going to wear you down, and you're going to lose by attrition, right? So that's just my couple of my takes on Death Guard. I do have a video coming up where we're going to dive deeper into some of the units. I think there are some really good units in Death Guard that we don't utilize right, and at least I don't think that they're utilized right. You guys might be doing it, and I'm not seeing it. But we are going to go over that. For those who are MCP players, we are going to go over some of that MCP stuff as well. We also are going to start having guests on the channel, guys you see on my bat reps, guys who also play specific factions and have good insight on the factions as well. So, guys, and I thank everybody as I thank everybody for tuning in and staying with me this far. I thank you for the support that you guys have been showing me over the last year and a half. Let's build this community up a little bit. Let's have just a fun, positive place that we can share our hobbies, share our excitement about games that we play. Let's have fun. Let's play for fun, as I always say. And I mean, you want to play for money, that's fun too. But play for fun. Put some cool models on a table, and have fun doing it. And as always, guys, tune in for the next one. God bless and peace out.